Welcome to our first in the dugout for the 2023 season here at Babe Ruth headquarters this evening. We appreciate everybody taking their time out of their schedules to take part in our first webinar as we begin to prepare for the 2023 season, which it's hard to believe that chartering opens up next week, and we want to get our leagues prepared for some of the changes that are coming with the new season. So my name, if you are not familiar with myself, I am Rob Connor, Vice President of Operations for Babe Ruth League. I work out of our office in Hamilton, New Jersey. And we have a great lineup here tonight of some individuals from Sports Engine who are going to be talking about the new Sports Engine HQ and how the local leagues need to begin to set up their programs for the coming season. For our rules of engagement here tonight, we're going to look to try to stay around 30 minutes without questions and answers. We're going to hold the questions and answers until the end. You will be able to put them in the chat feature here this evening, or excuse me, in the Q&A rather. Please put them in the Q&A. If we will take the opportunity to review them, try to answer as many questions as possible here this evening, and then be able to also contact anybody who had some questions after our webinar concludes tonight. We also will have in the chat the link to where the In the Dugout webinar that we are doing tonight will be published later this week. So I would think by Friday it should be up online in case you wanted to go back over the video to review any of the things that we covered here tonight, because we are actually going to cover a lot of items that involve Sports Engine and your local league management. So the first thing we want to do is as we get started here this evening is talk about why Babe Ruth League selected Sports Engine HQ. Well, as many leagues maybe know, that in 2012 we started our online work for doing rosters and league management with Sports Sign Up Play. Sports Sign Up Play was our platform for many leagues all the way up until this past 2022 season. As leagues have come in over the years, new programs have gotten started, we have started to move them over to Sports Engine in anticipation that Sports Sign Up Play would be phased out. Now in 2017, Sports Engine actually acquired Sports Sign Up Play. So they have been managed with the same workforce and leadership team. But as we have worked to develop Sports Engine HQ with Sports Engine, we are confident now that we would be able to sunset Sports Sign Up Play and begin to make the process a lot easier for local leagues to be able to save you time and money in managing your local league program, from doing online registration to websites to doing rosters and background checks. And you'll see as we go over tonight some of the enhancements that will make it easier now that you're going to be on one platform and instead of, in some cases, multiple platforms in the past. So as we review this here tonight, we'll go through some of the different things that make up Sports Engine. Sports Engine has been a great partner of ours over the last several years as we have worked together. They go far beyond the baseball, softball world for Babe Ruth League. They have 16 million coaches and athletes, over 45,000 sports organizations, and over 4 million active mobile users, which we are going to talk about the mobile app being available for everybody at the end of tonight. So Sports Engine is a great company and certainly big enough to be able to handle the demands that come with Babe Ruth League and the league management for local leagues. As we go forward here, you'll see some of the changes that we're going to be talking about and some of the features that will come with Sports Engine HQ. So you'll see here that we'll talk about online registration with no additional player fees or registration, free top-rated team mobile app for coaches and families to be able to communicate, as well as the local league to be able to communicate with parents and coaches, support from the industry's largest customer support team, new features like membership programs and digital ID cards, consistent product updates and enhancements, and fast payment collection with competitive processing rates for local leagues. As local leagues know, you try to get those registration dollars in and get them into your bank account so that you're able to get ready for the coming season with uniforms and everything else that a local league volunteer has to do in order to be able to get the kids on the field. Now, you should have received, going back to July, if you are the league president of record for 2022, you should have received emails from both Sports Engine as well as your customer service representative here at headquarters. In those emails was a specific unique link for your local league in order to adopt your account and begin to set up your Sports Engine HQ account for your particular league. I want to thank over 800 leagues that have taken the time to claim their link and get their site set up. And out of those 800, 300 of them are roster-only leagues, meaning that they're only going to be using it for doing their rosters and submitting them to headquarters. And over 500 premium leagues, which are leagues that are using the entire platform of Sports Engine HQ with online registration to all the different communication tools that we're going to be talking about. So why is it important to create an account now versus waiting until several months? Well, in December, Sports on at Play is going to sunset, which means that the information that you have in your local league account for Sports Engine will no longer be accessible anymore. So you're going to want to start the process of downloading and exporting out the information from your local league's program so you can retain all of that data that you've acquired over the years that you've used it. And then you're going to be using some of that data to set up your new season for 2023. Also, it's important that you get set up with Sports Engine HQ because now that everything is going to be under Sports Engine HQ, your background checks for your volunteers, which need to be run through Sports Engine, now are going to be housed in that place. You'll no longer be working in both Sports on at Play and Sports Engine or another platform to be able to manage your background checks. Everything is in one spot. So if you did not get that email, and after maybe checking your spam folder or checking your email box for probably what is over a dozen emails from Sports Engine or from us here at headquarters, you can write in here in the question and answer if your league information and your point of contact, and we'll work to reach out to you with your customer service representative over the coming days to reissue that link back to you. You can also contact us here at headquarters as we work to help each of these leagues finish off the process of moving on to Sports Engine HQ. So let me start by introducing Ryan Rodabal from Sports Engine, who is going to be helping with the transition and talking about some of the key points about the different pieces that make up Sports Engine HQ and how this is going to be helpful for your local league and being able to manage your program and make your jobs easier as volunteers to take some of the work away that you have to do to manage the behind the scenes and put a greater focus on the kids and the activities going on at your park. So Ryan, it's great to have you here tonight. And we'll get started through the deck. So I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, Rob, thanks so much for having me on tonight. I'm really excited just to finally introduce some of the new concepts and functionality within the Sports Engine platform. I know it feels like it's been an eternity since we started discussing this whole process and moving everybody over into one singular platform for all their Babe Ruth requirements and needs. So again, just really excited to get this out in front of everybody and talk about the benefits that we'll have moving forward. For a lot of you, I appreciate you tuning in tonight, but there's a good chance that I've actually worked with many of you. So if the name rings a bell, but I've actually had the privilege of kind of overseeing some of the safety program that we implemented on Sports Engine a few years back. So worked with you all on implementing that and making sure that all your coaches were compliant with the background screening requirements and abuse training within a Babe Ruth league. But I'm also fortunate to have Jake Rogers joining us tonight from the Sports Engine team. Jake's been instrumental in kind of the ongoing migration from Sports Sign Up Play, dealing with a lot of the leagues who are moved over from Sports Sign Up, as well as just leagues who have shown interest in leveraging more tools and functionality within Sports Engine HQ as a whole. So Jake will kind of be on tonight to talk a little bit more of the benefits that Sports Engine can provide your league, as well as just answer some Q&A towards the end. So here, what you're seeing here is really the requirements between Babe Ruth, what we've historically kind of owned between the two platforms, Sports Sign Up Play and either Sports Engine, or as of 2 years ago, we allowed you to kind of implement the background screening through your Sports Sign Up Play account if desired as well. None of that is really changing. So if you're a league today, what's required of you kind of through our technology platforms, there's no change as far as the actual processes of what's required, that being the safety program and the roster submission. What is new, however, is really the means by which you'll complete those in the new system, and it's what we're calling the Sports Engine HQ. So I know there's a population out there that's probably used Sports Engine to some capacity, whether it just be for the safety program or even more. Then there's the population that's been on Sports Sign Up Play, either just as a roster importing league or using Sports Sign Up Play and their registration platform. So really just want to kind of dive in. I think we'll talk about, we'll spend a lot of our time tonight, I think, diving onto the memberships, just given the seasonality and where we're at in the season and season prep as a whole. Season management is another term that we'll want to familiarize ourselves with over the time and as we lead into the season. But really understanding and familiarizing ourselves with this memberships concept. And again, to Rob's point that he made at the beginning, the urgency there is to establish your Sports Engine account today and sooner rather than later, so you can actually facilitate the background screening process. So,
Hey, Ryan, I just wanted to pause for 1 sec just to point out one question that came in, and that is that, so we started the initial emails for everybody in June. Actually, the first ones that came out were from Sports Engine, and then we sent out an announcement around that time as well. The Sports Sign Up Play system will actually begin to be sunset on December 1st. So it's important for local leagues that haven't done so. If you are looking for, okay, what is that last day to be able to get to Sports Sign Up Play and be able to get your data out, it is December 1st, which is just in a couple weeks. So that was one of the questions that came in. I just wanted to hit that as you're starting to queue up your
absolutely. I know we stressed urgency, but yeah, it's right around the corner. Holidays are almost here, and so December is really that milestone there that we want to get everybody off Sports Sign Up Play. So whether that means exporting your data or your content that you had historically, and speaking with one of our representatives or the Babe Ruth League staff to kind of get the next steps in place to establish your Sports Engine account. So appreciate that, Rob. So really, again, just going to dive in more on the memberships and really the benefit of this new concept with our approach to consolidating the Babe Ruth League partnership and what leagues are obligated to complete within the platform. We really want to kind of hone in on the terminology that we'll be using throughout. So you'll see this with a lot of our documentation or help resources that we've created. That safety program now lives within this kind of this memberships concept, and really not to scare you at all with the idea of a membership. It's really what it does is it's really the vessel for all the data flow from your local organization or your local league all the way up to the Babe Ruth headquarters. So that all happens through this kind of this concept of memberships here, and that's where we've put the safety program moving forward. And then season management, we'll jump into a little bit more detail, I think, further down the road. But really what you're getting there is an enhanced interface there, as opposed to it being a different process and flow or experience for a roster-only league on Sports Sign Up Play, and then someone who's using the registration tools. It's really what our goal was, to unify the experience and make it as similar as we could within Sports Engine, whether you're a free user or one of those premium users, as Rob stated. So I think I'm really excited to just roll out the benefits and the functionality of the Sports Engine platform, knowing that the overall experience, we can speak to each Babe Ruth league, knowing that they're all kind of going through the same workflows and processes moving forward. Historically, I know it was a little bit fragmented where you may be using Sports Sign Up Play in some regard, but then you're jumping over to Sports Engine for this and that. So I think the overall benefit that we really want to key in on is that it's all coming underneath one roof, which is the overall the benefit and takeaway here tonight for Babe Ruth leagues moving forward. And then I think, you've heard us mention, I think, both free and premium. I think it's important to, again, can kind of continue on this concept that we're creating a unified experience regardless of what subscription level you might be using the platform for. But as you can see here, there's a few additional benefits and why there's a recommendation to, if you haven't before explored the use of an online registration platform and all the benefits it can provide your league, of why a premium subscription might be a fit for you. And we have a process in place today. If you go through, contact your Babe Ruth League region representative, they'll put you in touch with somebody on our team, such as Jake or the rest of the team, to explore some of those benefits. But again, I do want to touch on this unified customer experience, regardless of free or premium. If you're free, you're still getting privilege to these tools to unlock the safety memberships and the season management and roster importing moving forward. In addition, as Rob mentioned, we'll touch on later, is the mobile app that's being unlocked and available and made available to teams regardless of your subscription level as well. So Jake, I think knowing that kind of you're so well versed on the platform itself, and you've been kind of front lines of the organizations and the leagues who have moved over from Sports Sign Up Play to date and moving over to our premium subscription. I'd love for you to just elaborate on how leagues are really leveraging the premium subscription and what tools and benefits they're unlocking through that process to really make their lives easier and save them time at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the nice introduction there, Ryan. It was kind of tricky to kind of trim down this list of premium account benefits on the Sports Engine HQ platform, because there's just so many things that you have at your disposal under one roof, as Ryan was mentioning before. But the 5 that we have listed here were based off of feedback that I've gotten from organizations who have made that transition from Sports Sign Up Play over to the Sports Engine HQ premium platform. Starting at the top with online registration that parents can fill out for their children who are participating with one of your leagues. The registration tool on Sports Engine has pre-built-in information that's specific to Babe Ruth, so that you're automatically collecting Babe Ruth specific information in the registration, in addition to the registration fees, the waivers, and any other specific information that you need to collect in your season registration form, whether that's for fall ball or spring ball coming up around the corner here. The second thing on this list, along the same lines of the registration, flexible payment plans. In some cases, you can have fees that are due upon registration, but on Sports Engine, you have payment plans that are available that can be flexible if a family or a group of families want a specific payment plan in terms of installments of making those payments for registration fees for the season. Front-facing website. The front-facing website aspect is kind of brings all the aspects together in terms of season management that Ryan mentioned that we'll be discussing down the road. Bragging about your league, where you get to display photos, showing off what your league is doing, all those specific things that you want people to see when they type in your organization's domain or your organization's league within Google. And then the fourth thing, it's really kind of near and dear to my heart, and kind of what I've been working on and involved with Babe Ruth League the past year or so, is a dedicated implementation representative on our Sports Engine team. That team will be there as a direct resource for your organization while you're making that transition from Sports Sign Up Play over to Sports Engine HQ. So they're going to be there. They're going to want to schedule a kickoff call with you just to introduce themselves, see what the timelines are looking like in terms of getting your registration up and running. And then they want to be there as a direct resource for you when you're setting up your registration, when you're becoming familiar with those Babe Ruth League specific tools in HQ, when you're getting your website set up, when you're getting your rosters generated, when you're getting your schedules created. All of those milestones that you hit before you need to start your season and before practices and games start, you'll have a specific person on the Sports Engine implementation team on our side of things here. And then the final thing, no per player fees. I know Sports Sign Up Play had the per player fee in terms of being charged a fee each time somebody fills out a registration on that platform. On Sports Engine, we don't have that. We have a yearly subscription that you would have access to or that you'd pay for, and then you would have access to the whole platform. So it was tough, but those were probably the top 5 benefits that I've gotten feedback on that are kind of what I've seen in terms of making the transition from Sports Sign Up Play over to Sports Engine HQ. So Ryan, I'll kind of pass it back over to you.
Sure. No, I appreciate that breakdown, Jake. I think, yeah, it makes total sense of why the cost savings is there in the end for a league who wants to explore the registration tools. Obviously, there's other third-party registration platforms out there, but for those leagues who have never really had the benefit of an inline registration, and now because of the Babe Ruth requirements that are going to fall within Sports Engine HQ into this one platform, we're really trying to get that unified customer experience. And again, that's going to lead into why we can help you and service you as part of this whole Babe Ruth partnership in general. Moving forward, our goal at the end of the day is to provide not only Babe Ruth, but everybody who falls underneath that umbrella, these members and these leagues, a better experience. We heard the feedback that we had with kind of operating 2 disparate environments for leagues to operate in. So I think we're super excited, and I can't stress enough, like, the tools and the benefits that we're going to see moving forward, whether you're free or you're premium on Sports Engine moving forward. And I think these next few slides and visuals really give a breakdown of how we've tailored the solutions and the support around the Babe Ruth League partnership. So what you're seeing here is as you establish your Babe Ruth League HQ within Sports Engine, by creating this unified experience that I keep mentioning, our support resources can all use the same vernacular or terminology throughout your processes that you need to complete, not only for Babe Ruth, but if you do leverage the premium benefits as well. So starting here, we've implemented a tailored walkthrough system from our help resources. So our team's been hard at work for the last it's been, I think, since last year that they have been implementing these walkthroughs that are tailored specifically to the Babe Ruth League processes. And what you're greeted with when you're a Babe Ruth League account, just jumping in for the first time, is this Babe Ruth League Academy that really talks to the specific processes and where to get started. So this is all going to be just one of the many different customer support channels and resources at your disposal within Sports Engine moving forward. So we're really excited about that. Again, I want to emphasize the help channels, whether you're free or you're premium, the help channels to really get the quickest support is going to be through this little tab within your Sports Engine account. So questions will go straight to our team, and you can create a live chat opportunity or schedule a meeting for somebody to when you're available. Obviously, we know that many of you are volunteers, so it's got to be off hours or whatever and around your calendar. So we can coordinate a meeting around your availability and really talk to our representatives can talk to what you need to do to get started and set you up for a successful 2023 season. So everything through that Need Help tab is going to be your source of the Babe Ruth League Academy, finding articles. If those of you who are familiar with Sports Sign Up Play and you thought they had a lot of help articles, if help articles are your thing, Sports Engine, I think we have 100 plus and counting help articles that can speak to every little process that you do within Sports Engine's platform. So there's a help article for pretty much anything, but if you want to pick up the phone or have a live chat with a representative, you can do that as well. And again, just speaking to the amount of support and what we're pouring into kind of this partnership and making sure everybody's up to speed and set up for success is if you're premium, you get a dedicated account manager that you can kind of rely on there. But regardless if you're premium or free, you get an online chat function. There's chat within the mobile app. There's the help center, like I mentioned, with all the articles, and then inline manuals and walkthroughs that kind of guide you through those Babe Ruth League requirements, whether that's the safety memberships or the season management functionality. That's setting up your season, rostering, importing, anything of that nature. There's going to be a dedicated walkthrough and help environment for that. And another resource that I think you'll probably either stumble upon either through some of the Babe Ruth League website or your CSR, your customer support representative for your specific region. They may be distributing this to you as kind of part of your chartering process. But this is a resource we do want to rely heavily on. That again, it's another tailored Babe Ruth first season guide, knowing that vast majority of you might be interacting with Sports Engine in outside of a safety only capacity for the first time this year. We went ahead and built out an inline manual with live links to all those specific processes that you'll go through for as a Babe Ruth league or member. So again, I highly encourage that you check out the Need Help tab and look at the articles right at the top of your account. You'll see this Babe Ruth League first season guide. So definitely want to emphasize that as a valuable resource moving forward.
All right, right. So now that we've talked about setting up the member accounts and things with the local league, we want to talk about the background checks and abuse prevention training and how local leagues are going to now have the one place to be able to do everything. So let's talk about some of the safety membership aspects that I know that you're very accustomed to because we worked together on the safety side before we started even talking about Sports Engine HQ this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really passionate about this because we've rolled out this new memberships and eligibility now for some time, and to get Babe Ruth to now be able to take advantage of this. I've been front lines of the safety program for Babe Ruth and knowing that leagues have operated, and the biggest feedback that I've heard so far is just visibility, right? Everybody wants more visibility into where a coach is at in their process, what coaches have completed what requirements, how many coaches do I need to have go through the process for this season. It's been a mass confusion, and so to put it bluntly. So I take full ownership that it hasn't been the most ideal, knowing that we were really operating out of those two platforms. So again, emphasizing the benefit that we're bringing everything underneath one roof, we're able to leverage this memberships and eligibility for all leagues. Again, regardless of premium or freemium, you're getting an eligibility dashboard specifically to your local league. So when you log in for the first time into your Sports Engine HQ, you will see a memberships module on the left-hand side, and that is your hub for everything Babe Ruth League safety. So safety now lives within this memberships concept, and I do want to stress that we're asking that you have everybody, as opposed to in the past where you would have to look up yourself who is still eligible and going to this season versus who's a new coach and needs an updated background screening or abuse training. Now we're doing that work for you. We're taking that legwork out for you. And now you can just send this membership link, get them into your database, and the logic is already built in to track what credentials they need. So again, we have already have on file, because they were in one of our two systems, Sports Sign Up Play or Sports Engine. We know when they took their abuse training and when they took their last background screening. So we're just saying you get them into a membership, which is free. It's a free membership. The background screening still has the same cost as before, but the membership is just getting them into your system. So now you can track where they're at and what credentials that they still need to or are outstanding. So if somebody completed both credentials last season, you get them the membership link, they'll come in, and from day one, they'll show as eligible. And we'll jump into more of these visuals and dashboards of what you'll see firsthand within your Sports Engine HQ. But again, memberships within your HQ is your hub for everything around safety. Again, so looking here, so once you start populating this by grabbing your membership link and distributing it amongst your coaches or your volunteer staff, they'll start populating within your eligibility dashboard, which then you can actually filter, you can send reminders and take advantage of the functionality and the logic that we have inside this system. So as you can see here, everything that you lacked before with visibility and reporting is now in here with a drilled in version on a per user or per coach basis. You can expand that coach and say, oh, they completed their abuse awareness training, they still have their background screening. Well, let me send them a reminder. I can click that coach and a click of a button, send a reminder. They'll get an email and a prompt to that link right to their inbox to say, hey, go ahead and update your background screening. And automatically, if somebody goes out of compliance or their background screening becomes invalid within season or in between seasons, they're actually going to get an automatic prompt as well. So the logic's all built into the system based on the Babe Ruth specific criteria. No more digging around to see, oh, when did they complete their abuse training, or when did they complete their background screening last, and who do I need to send through? So that's all done for you. Again, just getting them through the membership process.
And Ryan, it is when talking about the background checks for a minute, the league would be there's basically two directions that the leagues go in, and it's almost 50-50 with the leagues. Some of the leagues do where the managers and coaches or volunteers pay for their background checks, and are in those cases, will it charge those coaches at the time that they're doing their membership to $25.50 for the background check?
That's exactly right. I'm glad you asked, Rob. So the process stays the same now once they're in the actual background screen portion. So again, we want to get everybody into the membership, whether they're valid or they're compliant for this season or not. Get them into the membership, and that database will trigger those. So within that, when they are triggered to take their background screening, there still is the option for you to purchase discount codes. We've actually enhanced that process as well on the back end, so you can contact your CSR at Babe Ruth to find your balance of discount codes and distribute those amongst your coaches as needed. But yes, by default, Rob, they'll be asked or prompt for payment when they go through the actual background screening registration. So the coach will be prompted by default when they go through a background screening, but there is the opportunity for the leagues to cover that cost as well.
Okay. And then one of the things that with the discount codes, the codes that if a local league, that's the other portion, if the league is purchasing the background checks for the volunteers, they get that code from headquarters. They give that code out to their coaches. If they purchase 30 codes, the codes used 30 times, they run out. They can contact again to get it refilled. The only change in 2023 is that we are advising local leagues to make sure to not over purchase, and that because codes will expire in September of 2023. So we want to make sure that, the leagues are just purchasing what they need for the current year, and not to have, not to fall too many over, as some leagues had in the past. If a local league does have a balance from the previous year, do they contact their customer service rep regarding that too? If they have, let's say, a balance of where they have five checks left?
Yep. So for this year, we're really kind of continuing the process that we've had in place. So they can contact a headquarters and they'll be able to source whatever balance they had historically. I think it's really just moving forward is where it'll be a little bit of a slight change, where instead of buying in mass and then carrying the balance over year to year, is that it's a refillable code, and then they'll close out the season and kind of start fresh the next season moving forward. So, but for this season and the transition, they can contact Babe Ruth headquarters and get their existing balance.
Okay, great. Okay.
Great. So what you saw the last few slides were really the league's perspective on things within your system, how you can track and manage coaches or volunteer staff, what their credentials or their current eligibility status is. Now this is going a step further. There's a link inside of your HQ, which is really the best practice or most recommended way to get them into your membership and eligibility database, is to generate this open link. So within memberships, and you'll see atop the membership names, there's this public club assignment link. When you generate that link, it's static and you can share that amongst your coach population. When you send that to somebody and they go through a quick 2 or 3 screens and complete their membership. Again, it's free at this moment in time, and they get a confirmation email that you'll see here on the right-hand side of the page, and it prompts them, says, "You're almost done. Now continue to My Sports Engine," and they'll either be prompted to complete any outstanding requirements, and they can see their membership and see if they need to complete anything or what their eligibility status is. So again, really doubling down on that visibility aspect. I think coaches were operating blind on when and what they needed to complete year to year. And moving forward, it's going to be clear not only for the leagues, but if I'm a coach, exactly what I need to complete before I'm deemed eligible for the upcoming season.
Okay, great.
And now I'm looking at, from the perspective here, if I'm an individual coach, what I see in my Sports Engine profile. So I'm a parent or I'm a coach who went through the process, and now I can actually go into my household, see my profile and what memberships I possess. And then you'll see here, like, oh, I have an outstanding credential. The link right there to complete my background screening is there if I need it. And then on the right-hand side, you see the email that I actually got or received when I went through the membership process. If there was an outstanding credential, they're going to be prompted not only through email, but you can either go and log into your Sports Engine, or in this email, there's the complete screening link as well. So if they have abuse training outstanding or background screening, they'll have those links right there at their disposal. I know there's some pain points there historically of trying to get coaches their links in front of them and trying to source all that. So we're trying to go as far as we can to alleviate all those hangups and make it dummy proof as possible for the coaches and volunteers to just complete those requirements and make sure that they're eligible leading into the season.
All right, now we do have more information on background checks and abuse prevention training specific. We have put that in the chat. That link is safe.baberuthleague.org. Anything regarding background checks, if you have specific questions, there's the ability to fill out a form in which that we would be able to answer from headquarters. But if you needed to know any information regarding background checks or items getting set up in Sports Engine HQ, the information is there. And then, of course, we're there to help you as you're navigating.
Yes, I would go ahead and say that the safe.baberuthleague.org is going to be kind of your hub, your starting point for anything safety related. That should point you in the direction, whether it's through the Sports Engine side that has some help documentation, or anything of just getting started with, maybe it's the discount code process. You should be able to find a good starting point there. And then if not, you can contact either Babe Ruth headquarters with some additional information, and they'll put you in touch with our team as well to get you started. But again, it's that membership link that all coaches need to go through for this year to get them into your system so you can see their actual eligibility status. So a little bit different change management, whereas before you would say, oh, I have 25 coaches who are still eligible, I only need to screen 15. Now we're asking that you take all of your coach population, get them in the membership platform, and then it's going to tell you and automatically prompt them to complete their requirements. So taking some of that legwork off of yourself.
Okay. One thing that I wanted to point out in the question and answer is we wanted to make sure that as you are getting through some questions here, if we don't get to everyone with a reply either live or typing back to you, just please make sure that your email is included. We should be able to pick that up from your registration here this evening, but just to make sure, we ask you to go back in, just make sure that you have your email attached, as we're trying to make sure that we get all of your questions answered either during our show or after we conclude here this evening. So Ryan, the next thing was the Sports Engine mobile app that we wanted to talk about. The Sports Engine is actually going to offer the mobile app for local leagues, regardless of whether they're a premium league or the freemium league that is just doing rosters. And part of the reason for doing this is to show the local leagues what kind of asset that they have at their disposal by using some of the tools that come with Sports Engine. So the ability to use this mobile app, I know when I was coaching, this has been a great tool to be able to help with setting schedules, be able to communicate with everybody via text or through email, make practice changes, any updates for the game. Sometimes weather could potentially have an impact to just making sure that everybody knows what's going on the team. So this is going to be a great feature for the local leagues to be able to utilize and be able to have at their disposal for the coming years. So I think that this is going to be a great asset for many of the leagues coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Jake, I know this has been a huge point of, I guess, benefit in your conversations with leagues who are moving over, and where you've been able to stress the value add with, and again, with Babe Ruth, with the partnership, we opted, and kudos to Rob and team there on Babe Ruth to really just continue to drive the value for the leagues. Through season management, as soon as those teams are imported or updated into the Sports Engine ecosystem, they're automatically granted some of the permissions that or unlocks a team inside the mobile app. And Jake, if you want to expand on kind of what that unlocks and what that means for a league, I'd love to hear a little bit more insight of kind of how real use cases or test cases that you've had with leagues to date.
Yeah, no, it's a really great tool, Ryan, to use during the season, and it's essentially for those premium users, an extension of your team pages that you have created through season management, through HQ on your website, and it's an extension to the mobile app, and vice versa. Any changes or anything that goes to the mobile app that you're making at the field, or you're out and about needing to update a practice time or whatever it may be, it also takes place within your website as well. And it also sends out the necessary notifications to the parents, the players, the guardians that are connected to those families in terms of accounts. All that stuff is connected back to the site. And I've gotten pretty good feedback from organizations in terms of kind of what the overall experience, mobile experience on the app as well. Just so many good resources, whether you're a freemium user using freemium tools, or if you're a premium user using the full version of the website on Sports Engine HQ.
Yeah, excellent. So one thing I wanted to call out, just looking at the Q&A, kind of scrub through here. A couple people are calling out that maybe they don't see the memberships tab to date within their Sports Engine. If that is the case, I would encourage you to reach out to headquarters, and we'll work hand in hand with them on making sure that your league site is affiliated. I know some of the data that went into our system, there could have been another version of your league that was created, and we just have to make sure that the appropriate one is now within that Babe Ruth League ecosystem. So we can do that validation on our end, but just go ahead and reach out either through your help channel or through Babe Ruth headquarters, your region representative, and they'll be in touch with our team so we can get you squared away.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. Well, it's a lot of great information. I know that I've been perusing some of the questions and answers here and trying to answer as quickly as they're coming in. Still have quite a few to go, so I'm going to try to put you guys on the spot on a couple here to make sure that that we're good to go. Let's see. If a local league has other types of requirements, I know that we've talked about Colorado as being a part of the country where they have a state requirement for concussion training. Other local leagues may have requirements from their local county or town for CPR or other types of certificates that may not be a Babe Ruth requirement. Is the local league going to be able to create those types of managements to track that within their account system? If they're in their local league, are they going to be able to say, okay, here's a column that shows everybody that that showed proof of concussion training?
Sure. Yeah, great question. So I think it's important to, I guess, delineate what's required of Babe Ruth versus maybe what might be at your individual local league requirements or your statewide requirements. I think it's we could kind of separate those out for the matters of like compliance reasons and what your needs are as an individual organization. But absolutely, we can, through registration and through some of the tools and functionality that we have through Sports Engine and their marketplace of safety tools through NCSI, I would encourage you to reach out to a representative or through the help center and see what your options are there. We could build a customized registration to collect some of that information that might be required of coaches and volunteers. So yeah, there's definitely ways to leverage the Sports Engine platform in those regards.
Okay. One of the other questions here is that that they asked was, are the leagues required to set up their coaches' membership accounts? I think one of the things that we touched on here was once the local league sets up their program and they create where the members will go, managers, coaches, parents, etc., that the managers and coaches or parents will actually set up their own membership accounts. Do I have that correct?
In a sense, I would say so. By default, as long as you're affiliated with Babe Ruth League, which I think I spoke to some of those of you might not be see memberships within your system today. Once you are affiliated, and we can get that squared away, you'll see this memberships and then be able to generate that public link. I would say envision that now as the old background screening link that you might have shared out historically with coaches. That's going to prompt them and get them into your membership population. And so if I'm a coach, I'm waiting for you to send me that link, and that's going to be my prompt to interact with your local HQ and complete the requirements for Babe Ruth League. So it's going to automatically prompt me there. So I can't really do anything as a coach until you send me that unique link from your Sports Engine HQ, which is the membership.
Okay. But at least the local league admin is, and if they got 100 coaches in their league, they're not having to set up 100 coaches accounts. The coaches will set up their own.
No. So that link's going to kind of kill two birds with one stone. If I'm a coach and I go through that link, and I'm now in your database and I'm in the background screening process, and that's something it's a good point, Rob, to flag there. Jake, I think you probably know from work speaking with recommended practice there on setting up your registrations. I think there's probably a little bit of change management coming from Sports Sign Up Play and how that operated historically to best practices around Sports Engine. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So for premium users on Sports Engine HQ, like you said, Ryan, change management will have to take place for Sports Engine. On Sports Sign Up Play, your player and coach registration was almost, integrated with each other. On Sports Engine HQ, player registrations and coach registrations would be two separate registration links. So players would fill out a registration link, or parents would fill out a player registration link on behalf of a player, and then a coach or a volunteer would go to the coach registration link and fill that registration link out. And then, like you said, Ryan, before with the memberships, very similar on the registration, you kind of kill two birds with one stone and fill out a registration, and then you're also added to the member directory, which then allows you to send memberships and activate the memberships on the Babe Ruth side of things as well.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is maybe on Sports Sign Up Play, you created the 2023 registration. Whether I'm a parent or a player or whatever, I would go through that link. Now there's a little change management where we'll build out the player registration for you, which obviously parents are probably filling that out on behalf of their child, and 99% of the time they're going to go through, fill out the player registration. Maybe they pay for whatever those fees or dues are, but that does not include the membership that the coach would need to go through. So that's a little bit separate there. You don't need to create a coach registration, but as long as you send that coach who's trying to participate that season the coach membership link, then you should be taking care of everything there. So it's less encompassing on the registration side, but the membership will cover you on the coach side in both aspects. You don't need them to register and then do a membership.
Okay. The one of the other questions that have come in here is will the Sports Sign Up Play accounts, will they, if a local league had a website, is there any forwarding opportunity of that website to the new website for the local league, to their new domain once they establish? I was probably thinking not, because the Sports Sign Up Play would be sunsetted come December 1st, correct?
Yeah, so I can kind of touch on that one, Rob. So as a part of the implementation process, what is offered is we have a content migration team that is dedicated to helping organizations that are making the transition from Sports Sign Up Play to Sports Engine with moving their website content from their website on Sports Sign Up Play over to their website instance on Sports Engine HQ. And then whenever a league is ready to go live with their website on Sports Engine HQ, you can work with your implementation representative to, if you have a custom domain, to point that custom domain to your Sports Engine website instead of your Sports Sign Up Play automatically.
Okay, great. All right. We touched on, I know there were a couple questions here. The league president would be able to log in. One of the benefits here with Sports Engine HQ, especially on the background checks, is they're able to see in real time where their coaches are or volunteers are on the background check status, if they've gone in and paid, if they're waiting for results to come back, or whether or not if it was a pass fail notification. They have all of that stuff in their accounts so that they're able to turn around and see that in real time. Some people have been asking about that. There was a question here. This is more not Sports Engine, but for us here at Babe Ruth. Florida has some requirements. Every state has, a little nuances to each state. One of the questions that came in here is, our background checks, basically run from October 1 of 2022 to basically September 30th, 2 years later, which kind of goes in line with our operating here at Babe Ruth League. There are some situations down in Florida where volunteers need to show the municipality or the county government that they actually have a background check in the actual physical year. So like they may have to wait till January 1st. So it shows that it was done in 2023 instead of doing it today. Any of those leagues that have run into those types of situations and may need some type of documentation from Babe Ruth headquarters can contact us here, and I would be able to assist them and help provide whatever documents that you would need for your local municipality or county government, so that you can get past some of those hurdles with that. And we're used to working with each individual league as to, every league has some nuances in their local community that have to be addressed on background checks. We have no problems with trying to help out with that. One of the things that came up here was, in some of the questions, was the local league is able to pull their data out from, let's say, the 2022 season. They could certainly go all the way back to 2012, but if they just wanted to pull out the player data and parents and et cetera, they're able to export out, and then they're able to put that into Sports Sign Up Play. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to trigger a link email to the parents to be able to complete sort of that membership account for them in Sports Engine. Basically, the parents are going to claim their account just like the local leagues are claiming theirs to get started. Ironically, I just got mine yesterday from my local league in my hometown. So it's a very straightforward process. It literally takes minutes to just confirm your name, address, and basic information that you'll usually be doing at online player registration. So that was some of the questions that came in as I'm trying to peruse here. It's actually a lot of great questions here tonight. I hope this is how 2023 goes with our In the Dugout webinars, because a lot of great questions here. CSV. Yeah, so later on, I know that there's going to be some questions here about, doing rosters and how that's going to change. There is going to be some subtle changes. There could be a new template, for instance, that would have to be exported out of, if you're using a third-party service or et cetera, that you would then, put into your free Sports Engine account. Or, it's rather easy for those leagues that have taken the premium. Everything's right there for you. What we plan on doing is sometime after the first of the year is to do another webinar focused on rosters for the regular season, and then eventually for tournament time, to talk about, okay, if you're a premium, this is how easy it is to turn around and do them. And if you're the freemium leagues that got to import your data in, this is how you would go about doing it. We thought if we dove into everything tonight that we might be a little long-winded for us to be able to accomplish everything.
Sure.
Okay, we covered.
One thing I do want to touch on with season management, so I think I just saw a few questions about just the importing functionality that still exists, and it's pretty slick within Sports Engine and season management now. So if you are using a third-party registration and pulling data in, it's in line with season management. Once you set up your seasons, you get to the point where you import the templates right there for you, and you can import your teams all at once. And with less issues than I think we had before on Sports Sign Up Play. So the import really accepts a lot of that data, and you can correct errors really individually. So
Okay.
yeah, if you're using League Athletics or some other provider, that data is pretty easily to get in there. But again, to Rob's point, if you're using Sports Engine, it's like drag and drop from your registrations, and highly encouraged there. It's really tailored to the Babe Ruth League process.
Okay. Couple more on the background checks. Again, local leagues that purchased codes or discount codes, what we call discount codes, for their volunteers, and they did that with Sports Sign Up Play. That option again is available in Sports Engine HQ for those leagues that elect to do that, and the cost remains the same, the $25.50 for the background checks, and those are that would allow your individuals to get a code. You provide your volunteer with that discount code. When it prompts them in their membership to pay for the background check, they will enter that code, and then that code will expire once you've used the number of codes that you purchased. So you're going to receive one code. If you purchase 30 background checks as a league, once that is used 30 times, the code will no longer be valid. You'll just contact headquarters again to replenish. Okay, but you do have the option in Sports Engine HQ, just as you had in Sports Sign Up Play, in order to turn around and do that. Okay, and then the background checks, as soon as that coach signs up to do the background check, that's when the coach will be charged the background check. So at that point, the coach has two options. They're either paying for it themselves, because that's how the league is set up to do, or the local league is providing the discount code that they purchased ahead of time for them to put in the discount area, so that this way the league is paying for the background check. Okay, and the league purchases them in advance. We also touched on earlier here today, and you will see it on the discount code page for local leagues, that you only want to purchase discount codes that you plan on using for the 2023 season, which would take you through the end of September of 2023. The codes will expire at the end of 2023. So you want to make sure that you're only purchasing what you need to get through for the season if your league does that. Right now, it's right down the middle. It's about 50-50 leagues that do pay for background checks for their volunteers versus leagues that pass that on to the volunteer coaches to do the background checks. Okay. Guys, I think I've gone through a lot of the questions. Again, everybody, thank you so much for as many of the questions here tonight. We are going to, if we're going to go back through this and make sure that if we did not come, get over every single one, that we will try to go back and make sure that we help you with getting your answers in there. Appreciate those of you who put an email in. Those of you with your name, will try to match it up with your registration and try to get them answered for you sometime tomorrow on Thursday. So again, I want to thank Jake and Ryan for taking time out here tonight. I think that it shows a lot of interest in our leagues and our commissioners getting to know what's happening here. Certainly our commissioners are going to be getting more information after the first of the year, after we get the leagues set up and running first, and then the commissioners will have their own functionality and their own tools that will be coming for them that are specific for commissioners. So again, Ryan and Jake, thank you again for taking the time here tonight. It was greatly appreciated. For everybody, for our local leagues and commissioners, I want to remind you that chartering is going to open up at 10 a.m. on Monday, November 14th. So that's next week. So those leagues that need to go in and start chartering and to gather insurance information can turn around and do so. So it's hard to believe that 2023 is already fast approaching, especially with the World Series just ending this past weekend. So it's kind of hard to imagine that the holidays and before you know it, the 2023 season is here for everybody. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. We are going to send out an email to everybody who registered for tonight's webinar. It is important that in that email, you're going to see a survey that's going to ask you about tonight's webinar, as well as asking you for topics that you would like for us to cover in future webinars after the first of the year, either from a commissioner standpoint or a local league standpoint. So your feedback is greatly appreciated, because everything that we try to do in these webinars is geared towards the feedback that all of you are providing. So again, thank you for taking the time out tonight. Look for the email on the survey and for the link of today's video. And then look for this video to be published up on social media and up on our BabeRuthLeague.org website, probably by the end of this week. All right. But thank you again. And it was great to have everybody tonight. So good night from Hamilton, New Jersey, and Babe Ruth headquarters. And thanks again, Ryan and Jake.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.